It wasn't so much, it was pretty dead straight, but you had to jack the cue up in the air, didn't you, Sean?
Oh, it was an unbelievable shot queuing over there. And just on the super slow-mo that we had to look at it back, you could just see the cue ball bouncing on its way. You don't really see that with the naked eye. It was a fantastic shot. And queuing down on it, if you just get a bit of side spin on it by mistake, you could miss that yellow by a mile. So under pressure out there when it mattered, that was a real classy shot.
Well, also, Sean, talking of under pressure now, suddenly Judd Trump is one frame away from going out of the championship.
And it's just the way the game's gone now, I mean, as I say, at 3-1 up at the interval, he might have been guilty of thinking, well, I'm going to have a nice casual afternoon. I don't think he would have underestimated Joe in that way. Joe's too classy for that. But it just goes to show the way the game's gone.
Herein lies the problem for any of the top players. To guarantee getting wins, it's just so hard. And we sort of ask the question of a Judd Trump, say, when's your next big major going to come along? But when you're playing the likes of a Joe Perry, who people at home might think, oh, well, Judd's going to beat Joe Perry, but we know him, how great a player he is. And you've got to guarantee beating these players time in, time out. In the end, you are judged by how many times you convert these matches. And really, the only player that I see that does it all the time is Ronnie O'Sullivan, or more than any others. But Judd Trump's knocking on the doors of that. But you've got to convert these matches, and unfortunately, somebody like Joe Perry is tough.
Well, that's what we were saying earlier about Joe Perry. Obviously, Judd was the overwhelming favourite today. But when you consider Joe's credentials and you know him well, then he is a tough opponent for anybody, no matter where you are in the rankings.
Yeah, I don't think it's not unfair to say that Judd was the favourite for the match before they set out today. That's fair enough. But Joe wouldn't be worried about anything.
Wouldn't be fazed by that.
Absolutely not. And he has done his work. He's stayed there. When Judd has made a few errors, he's picked up the pieces. He's led from the front as well. He's scored well himself. Now he finds himself just needing that one frame for a famous victory, it has to be said. But he's fully deserved. Judd hasn't played terribly this afternoon. And as I say, he may well go on and recover, and we could be sat here in a little while talking about something else. But just needing that one more frame, it's a big chance for Joe.
Yet again, Steve, it's pretty much like the magic of the UK Championship. It's what you're saying, in that, given the fact it's best of 11, anything really can happen as long as you stay within your opponent.
Yeah, and you don't falter on the big stage. There are players that get the chance against one of the big names, so-called big names, and just collapse a little bit and then sit there going, oh, that's my big chance and I've blown it. And perhaps, Jack Gazowski today is thinking, oh, I just didn't do myself justice out there. But Joe Perry's more experienced, really. He's been around the block enough times that he won't be fazed by that. But he's still got to go over the line. And that's the hard bit. So these next two frames, these next one frame, next two frames, we're going to see Joe Perry under a bit more pressure now.
So, Sean, just take us here, because you've been here many, many times. You're one frame away from getting into the last frame. What's the head saying? What's the overriding emotion? Well,
for each player, they're one frame away from something big happening. Judd's one frame away from going home, and Joe's one frame away for getting into the quarter-finals. It's a massive frame, this. It goes without saying that last frame you need to get into the next round is always the most difficult to win. Let's see what happens.
Yep. Can Judd Trump set up a final frame decider? Let's go back to Alan and Dennis.
Yes. The nugget mentioned earlier in the studio that these best of 11s have a story to tell. There's been a few chapters in it this afternoon. How are the final couple of acts going to play out here? Because the dynamic again has changed. Joe Perry has fought so hard to get himself back in the match, and now he's in a position to possibly win it. The dynamic changes, the feeling out there. Joe's the man in the driving seat.
And that nice little flick off the brown helped Joe there. Oh, this looks good. Yeah, very well played. Excellent. I think Judd's going to have to try and come off a couple of cushions and land on that one just behind the black. might be back in a similar position again. He's got Judd in a spot of bother. He may try the same escape here. He's going to come up short this time.
Foul on this. Joe Perry full.
Joe will come around, but I don't think there's anything available. Quickly stopped when he's seen the situation. In an ideal world, he'd like to just come off the back cushion and land on this red, because if he hits it direct, he could possibly put it on.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, the other point to make here, it's almost a must hit this time, because he won't be playing it a third time with a few of the reds on full ball. This is huge that he hits this.
It's not going to reach.
Foul and a miss. Joe Perry full.
Now he will be warned, because he can hit reds, as Alan said. I often think in this situation, I mean, if you got down and miscued, there'd be 3 misses. Would that apply?
Yes, unfortunately, I think it would. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. But
if you have to call a miss this time, you lose the frame, okay?
There's the warning.
It was an excellent shot that Joe played to put him in this position. What's the outcome going to be here? Can't see any pot for Judd to go at. I'm not sure what they said to each other. I don't know that Joe said, why don't you have another go?
Yes, that was Judd trying to use the old Jedi mind trick there. trying to talk Joe into a re-rack. That was nice.
Is the one that will pot? Can he get past the blue to have a go? Because he's got to take something on here. And that's the one he tried to pot, and he's left a chance for Joe Perry. But what a hole he was in there.
Yeah, the two safety shots that Joe played were fantastic, weren't they? I talked about how efficient he is as a player. That was it right there. Now, a chance, and it's a good one.
Eight. Nine.
They played each other 7 times, and Joe had 1 win, 4-3 in the Welsh Open 2016.
16.
Even before this match, Joe wouldn't have been thinking about what the head-to-heads were. He's beaten all the top players in the game. And he's got himself in a position now where he could defeat one of the favourites.
17.
The little flick there has just made it a bit awkward. It's amazing. Just that little cannon has left him hampered slightly. And you see he's run away to the cushion. Okay. He's got reds to the middle pocket, but
24.
it's all about keeping tight control, making it as easy as possible.
This is the shot. I think if this goes in, the pink goes. Oh, what a shot that is. Just brushed
25.
it in. That was a beauty. Once again, pink going onto the brown spot. It does look like that won't do him any harm at all. Almost in a way, gets it out of the way, work off blue and black. See his target there, 76.
31.
The optimum number at the minute.
32.
And this would be some win, because Judd Trump has had breaks of 81, 97 and 100. You know, he's been playing very well. Once again, just
37.
left it slightly more difficult for himself.
There's a little example here of Joe Perry's economy of shot selection. Nothing to do with the cue ball here. This red goes in. He's plumb on the black.
38.
Yeah. Giving himself every chance.
There again, because of the last positional shot, he's just slightly out
45.
of position again. All about holding yourself together. Yeah, good recovery.
46.
Back in prime position. What a performance from Joe Perry this is. And somewhere in the arena, Joe's dad will be watching this, and he must be very, very proud of his son here, because at 3-1 down,
51.
Judd was a strong favourite.
52.
But this is superb, Alan, isn't it?
Yes, it's been a clinic in snooker savvy by Joe Perry this afternoon, faced with, well, if not the best, then certainly one of the best two players in the world at present, in Judd Trump, who has played well
57.
today, as Dennis mentioned. If he goes on to lose, he's got nothing to be ashamed of, because he's playing fantastic.
58.
But Joe Perry has just been brilliant in every department of the game this afternoon. And he's just a few shots away from putting the finishing touches and a place in the quarter-finals.
$65.
Yeah, just a bit of adrenaline there, nearly gone out of position. 75 remaining. This is match ball.
He looks as cool as a cucumber out there, Joe Perry. And he's got a chance against Tom Ford. That's who he'll play to get through
73.
to the semi-finals. The winner will go through.
74.
And this gentleman, Joe Perry, was in the semi-final in 2004 and 2005, Alan. He's rolling back the years, isn't he?
Yeah, he's playing the snooker of his life in his 40s. He's not alone in that. His good friend
81.
Mark Williams, the world champion, who departed the scene yesterday,
82.
is coming up with similar feats, but what a performance. And he will be delighted.
And he's doing it in style. He really is. He's already had a century
87.
in this match. And every chance
88.
to clinch the match with another century. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, there's a little A bit of
95.
emotion on Joe Perry's face right now. He's enjoying the moment.
96.
This is where you get the payoff. This is where the hard work pays dividends.
Absolutely stunning from Joe Perry.
103.
Yeah, it's hard to describe to people how you're feeling when you're walking around the table at this juncture of a match when you've knocked out one of the favourites.
$109.
I said at the start, top of the show today, it was neat and
111.
tidy. This has been pure perfection, this last frame. 2 rock-solid safety shots to create the opening.
114.
And he's took his chance with great aplomb. Brilliant stuff.
118. $123.
Yeah.
129.
Unbelievable this match. Judd comes forward, congratulates gentleman Joe Perry. From 3-1 down, he's come right back with the aid of 2 century breaks, and he knocks out one of the favourites. 6 frames to 4. Well played, both players.
That is an outstanding performance from Joe Perry. Absolutely brilliant. Well, who'd have thought that at the start of the afternoon, Sean?
Joe Perry. Joe Perry won't be surprised. He will have gone into that match. Yes, you know, Judd's one of the big favourites to win this week. Absolutely no question about that, and would have been favourite before that match went out there. But Joe wouldn't have been fazed by that. We said that. We made that point all the way through this afternoon. He will have believed, even at 3-1 down, he will have kept the faith. He'd have gone out there and done his work, and with a 93-pot success at the end, absolutely fantastic.
Fair play to one of the newspaper writers who wrote the headline today that Joe Perry looks good to dump Trump this morning.
Well, and you know, you watch players during the season. We talked about the fact that possibly, you know, he's in his 40s now. That perhaps the tour now. There's so many tournaments that he's getting match fitness all the time. Judd Trump, I thought, looked like he was in great condition for coming into this match. But the way that Joe, congratulations, Joe, just coming in.
Congratulations,
well done, Joe. Well played.
Great to see you. Well done, Joe. Well done.
The way that Joe clinched that last frame, and he stroked. You stroked 2 reds into the middle pocket, as you will know, were very missable. Yeah, if you're going to get clincher's disease, you just stroked them into the middle.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't play to get on them.
I know, yeah.
But sometimes when the situation's like that, it's all there for you to win, and sometimes it's harder. You know, if you can just pick off 40, 50 and then go into the reds, it was just there. It was my chance, and I just, I've put a couple of good reds in the middle, but I didn't play to land on.
It was 2. I think you potted the 3rd black. You finished on the side cushion. It was a real smelly shot.
Yeah.
And then a bit later on 50-odd, you had another really acute red running up on and off the cushion for the blue. And they were both very missable.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But I sort of just told myself, you know, it might not have been the only chance I got, but it was unlikely I was going to get a much better one than that. So, yeah, every bit of focus, every bit of concentration into the pot, and just see what happens.
What were you thinking, Joe, when you were 3-1 down? Because I said to the boys, I said, you know, what goes through the mindset? Because we were talking to Stephen Maguire yesterday. He was 4-0 down against Mark Williams, hauled himself back in it and won it. What were you thinking?
That was all right, really. I think sometimes it depends on how the game has gone. I lost the first frame off well, it wasn't a bad break-off. I broke off, and that was that. The next game I broke off again, and he got control of the frame. And I didn't really do anything wrong. I just thought, you know, I needed him to calm down a little bit, obviously. If he keeps potting long reds and winning frames, there's nothing I can do. So, yeah, I was quite content with how I was playing. If anything, I probably played a few more loose shots after the interval than I did before, but that's just the way it goes sometimes.